Hey guys, this is Bonfrey from L World and Ephesus on Forge of Empires. You're listening to FOE Advance, where we look at advancing your gameplay with micro strategies in a long format. And today I'm going to talk about one of what's previously been my most popular video topics, which is moving into SAM era, Space Age Mars, because it's the most confusing era move, I think, in the game, especially because it has the colony edition, and you've got a third special good, and there's just some dynamics that go along with it, and there's it's one of the most confusing eras to move into, and there's some finer points on that, because depending on if you are exploring the map ahead of moving into the SAM tech tree, there's differences as well. So I'm going to address, so what I want to do in this video is address what it looks like to start exploring the Mars map from VF or lower eras, what that looks like and what it means. And then I'm going to go to another world where I'm already in SAM, and I want to show you what the established colony looks like and give you more information about kind of fast forwarding, like where you're going to be headed towards on the journey once you establish as you're moving through the tech tree. So we're going to look at upgrade concerns, resources, planning ahead, and that'll even play into the discussion once I move to the other world and show you the established account. So let's kick off right now with, I'm in VF. I've been holding off so I could record this video before I go to the tech tree and actually unlock SAM. So I want to start with the research cost tool here, and you can use the plugin if you're browser based and all that, but this built-in tool works well enough. It's pretty simple, but it works. So as you may have noticed in previous, if you moved up previous eras, you've got the first set of elements here has to do with moving through the tech tree, right? So it's somewhat to be expected that you're definitely not going to have the special good. You cannot start creating Mars ore until you have unlocked the Mars tech. Okay, so you may have certain buildings that lately from events and things like that, aside from the SC, that can generate Mars ore in this case once you're there, but you can't go ahead on that, right? Like you just can't until you get there. So I'll actually show that on the map. Then you have other Mars resources. I've been collecting some ahead just because of my special buildings from event creep and stuff like that. But I'm going to need more of these as I go into the tree. But that's fine, because I'm going to one up and reno my goods producing buildings as soon as I get here. So again, when you're planning to move ahead, move up a level, make sure you've got enough reno kits, enough one-up kits that make sense for you. I may expand on that in a second. But look at this. You've got also a need for the previous two special goods. So you still need Promethium, and you still need Orich, I'll just call it Orich, in order to move in and unlock SAM. And it doesn't stop there for these older era goods. As you go up into higher eras, you're always going to need some Promethium and Orich. So don't stop sending your ships out and whatever related to those older special goods, because you need them in the future. So as you climb up the tree. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to go back to the map, because what I did is I just moved into this. This is the first part of the Mars area you land on when you get out of VF on exploring the map. So let's just strictly talk about map exploration right now. So this alone confuses a lot of people. So you see the space shuttle. This shows up, when you move into SAM, and you're like, what am I looking at? Because this screen comes up, or you may have, this is the VF screen, but once you move, you explore into SAM in that sort of oceany area, then you drop in here, and you're like, well, what am I looking at? So in this case, we've been accustomed to seeing continental type maps, right? You know, these graphics. So we had Earth, we did that. Then we went in, as we went into OF and stayed there for 5.5 years, you know, exploring the map and doing all that we had to do. Then we finally get to VF and realize there are a ton of sectors to explore in VF as well, by the way. It is not, it's a fast era somewhat to blow through on the tech tree, but it is not fast in terms of blowing through it on the map sectors, because there are tons. But certainly not as many as OF, but it's still pretty legit. So what happens is you have this other tab, and this represents the Mars, you know, Mars colony, right? So you click, you have 2 squares that you're going to be working between. It's kind of annoying to me. You know, it's like you're just basically working ultimately you're going to be working 2 different mining locations on Mars. Okay. But the second one doesn't unlock yet, right? You got to unlock the first one before you go to the second. So, you know, I went ahead and opened this you know, section here. I forget what it's called, but anyway, I you know, fought the sectors, opened this up, and you can see there's, you know, quite a few embedded in these. So you can see here, because I'm still in VF, a lot of people are like, why is there a lock on this rock? And what that means is you're still in VF. You haven't gone up the tech tree into SAM. Once you're in SAM and you unlock that first tech, you're going to be able to click on this ore and actually go further into that. So what I'm going to do for this part of the video coming up is show you that, what it looks like, you know, in the other world prime. I'm already there. But before I do that, again, once you explore all of these sectors, then you get on the space shuttle, and it's going to offer you, you know, you pay the coins, whatever, and then it's going to start exploring this one. So what you're ultimately doing is unlocking some sectors that have Mars ore, and some of them don't, and some have larger and smaller amounts that it produces, and there's like variables. So anyway, I'm going to pop over to the other world that I'm in and show you more about this. But I wanted you to understand, like, you could unlock all of Mars, and this is important, in an earlier era. You could be in, I mean, whatever, you could be in progressive era and stomp through Mars if you can, and these ores will just remain locked. It's no problem. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't hamper anything. Like, these are just going to be unusable special good mines until you get into SAM and you start needing to mine that special good for the tech. So anyway, that's that, and I'm going to pop over and be right back. Okay, so once you unlock the Mars tech, now we're gonna talk about moving into some of these details related to that. So when you unlock the first tech in Mars, it's going to open up this space shuttle port, the spaceport, and then you're going to be able to go into the colony, and then you're going to eventually have something that looks like this. So it's when you first get in, a few areas you can develop, and then you buy them and with credits and so forth. So this becomes its own sub-economy, and you know, you may be aware of this or not, but as you go through the tech tree, it's going to slowly allow you to unlock different buildings that will give you more capabilities as you grow into the Mars situation. So anyway, you know, at first you're going to be able to build like some drop pods, and you can see those just require coins and supplies. They're pretty easy to get into right away. You know, you can lay them down. And by the way, I'm not touting this design as the most efficient. I think when you first get into the colony, and then you finally get all of your roads put down, there may be a tendency to say, hey, how do I do the best version of this? Because in Mars you need roads, and some of the other areas it's not a thing. But anyway, as we go along, you can see I've got some unspent area, map sectors that I can put down. The only way to buy these is with diamonds or with these credits, right? So the only way to generate the credits is for you to have domiciles, right? So different ones, as you unlock them in the tree, give you different benefits. Some give you more population, but less credits, right? Others, inverse and size, and it's a typical thing with the game. Balancing resources. Life support is a whole other thing, and I'm going to talk about it because I think there's just much debate over whether it makes sense to use life support or not. I'll tell you, up until SASH, prior to SASH era, I never bothered with life support because there wasn't a big enough penalty to just ignore it. But SASH is different, so I changed my tune there. But so now that I've generated some credits over time with my housing. See, this is not a good example of an optimized Mars colony. Again, I was just had phased this in such a way that I was trying to build up credits. So know this, it's very common to tear down and rebuild your colony several times as you go through the tech tree, right? You're going to have multiple iterations of this thing because, the buildings get better, more efficient as you move along. And your goal is to get, I want to say, back when I cared about this stuff, I think 8 of the goods production buildings was viable. Pretty sure it was 8, just with the physical space and then balancing that with population, because you have to have a certain amount of population to build a goods building. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that to build goods, and this is a really great reason why these newer event buildings that have been coming out are so valuable, because they just create goods. They, create, future, past era, whatever, current era goods for relatively free, right? There's no downside. Whereas if you create goods in your colony, you're actually having to spend your limited resource, which is Mars ore. Now, eventually, you can do this because you're just on track and you're just making it every day. But when you're getting out of the mud, you need, several thousand Mars ore just to go through the tech tree, right? So it's a real slow start to get to the point of making ore, because this is like a progressive ecosystem. First, you have to put down houses, then domiciles, and then you have to wait for them to create the tickets. Once you have the tickets, then you go over to the map, and then you do map stuff. So this is what the map looks like after it's been, mostly explored. I think I have one sector left over here. So as you're mining the special resource in the map, you're going to see these are ready for collection, right? So these are the mines, and then when you go to sort of recharge the mine, you have to pay credits and then wait time, right? So the tiny ones cost less credits, they take less time, and there you go. You can finish it, for 10 diamonds in a hurry if you want. That gets expensive pretty fast. And then I think, at least it used to lock out after a while and not let you spend any more diamonds, so you can't just keep looping it and hack the tech tree like really fast. So this one is ready. These are a longer, a longer hatch, so you can fight or negotiate, kind of the usual thing. And there you go. So I need to wait a day. It's this many credits. So you can see 5,600. So you can see that you need the credits sort of for everything, and it's this like multi-hit process. So this is the second moon on Mars, but what I don't like is the map tabs start to push you towards Saab, right? Like, so I haven't even explored the first sector of Saab, but it's like taking me there. So what I have to do is click here, and click on the Mars tab, then choose between my two, my two areas that I'm mining. So if I click on the left one, then it takes me over to that one. This is the first map that you explore, as you're going into Mars. So again, you can harvest this ore, and it comes in pretty slow, and then more credits, etc. So that's the workflow of this. but the confusion with every time you want to move between the two Mars maps can be a hassle with this extra clicking and so forth. It may be because I haven't finished this last sector, but that seems counterintuitive to me. It seems like if I had completed this, that then it would start bugging me about Saab. But anyway, okay, so going back to the colony itself, I wanted to rack up like a bunch of credits just so that I could kind of get this world on its feet and not have to keep kind of going back and forth. So I built a bunch of these, the domes, because they put out a lot of credits. And now that I've built up some, I'm going to delete all these, and then I'm going to start building the production buildings. So let's talk about life support. So life support, what it does is if you add these plus, the green vial buildings to your city, you're going to have less space for goods production buildings. It may or may not be a problem for you, right? I mean, it's up to you. I have no life support in my colony. So if you go up here, you'll see my provided support's 500. The demand based on my population is 7,250, and there's no discount, right? So what that means is when I go here, it's going to cost more, right? So I don't get a discount then it's going to charge me coins and supplies, wherein if I had enough life support, it wouldn't do that. So it's really up to you. But I had accumulated so many coins and supplies, like probably most of you, over the time of playing the game. I really didn't care. So I'd rather have like 8 production, goods production buildings than bothering with saving these resources. So of course it also takes Mars ore to build to create goods. So anyway, it's this sort of spiral ecosystem that sort of builds on itself. One thing that really annoys me that you'll find out when you go is if, let's say, you build a simple shelter, right? So any of these buildings. So I go to build that. Okay, it's gonna be ready in an hour. So if I leave and then eventually come back, say I leave for 12 hours and come back, it'll say, hey, this is ready, but it won't start creating the credits until you come back in and just enter this screen, right? So it's just kind of weird, because like you'd think, okay, it's built in an hour and then it's going to start just producing credits based on the fact that it's ready. But no, so when I laid a bunch of these down, I was hoping, okay, I'll have a bunch of credits in 8 hours. No, you have to wait for the build time and then go in and then go back out, and then it's going to be 8 hours after that. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because it's a quirky thing about the game. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Tried to keep this one a little more on track and concise than some of my previous ones. And I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope this was informative. And we will see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for listening to FOE Advance.